Heat Ender said, so sewers don't make their own fabric from thread? Well, they could. Most don't. You usually, for sewing purposes, most most people who sew buy their fabric that was made in a mill with the thread that was spun very, very fine and woven very, very fine by a mill. And then they just cut it into the appropriate pieces and then sew them back together however they need to be to shape the garment. I mean, you could spin the yarn or thread, as the case may be, on a spinning wheel, and then weave it on a loom, and then you could sew it, cut it apart and sew it. But most people don't still do that. Heat Ender said, how come you don't use a loom? Oh, I do. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 looms. But I use looms when I'm weaving scarves or shawls or dish towels. I like to weave fabric that I'm going to make things out of, that I'm going to sew. But most of the time, if I'm using a loom, I'm using it to weave a finished item. Like I said, dish towels or shawls or scarves. And there are certain things that, like if you want a sweater, you would knit or crochet a sweater rather than weave it because the woven fabric isn't stretchy. Heat Ender said, I see. But now you can buy fabric that is knit, like for t-shirts or sweatshirts. Those fabrics were knit in a mill, and then you cut it into pieces and sew it back together, and in whatever way you need to sew it back together in order to get the garment that you're making. Ender said, you don't really appreciate fiber arts until you have to make it yourself. Absolutely. And you'd have a lot fewer clothes if you had to make them all yourself because of the labor and the time involved.